World-honored one, you have given the examples of the broken water basin, the dirty mirror, and the bubbling spring as being surfaces that do not sustain any surface image for consideration. The opposite of these would then sustain that image. In like fashion, if one has a mind not cultivated, then one will not sustain a true understanding of suchness. But when that mind is well cultivated, then one will sustain such an understanding. In this explanation, what is the thinking that is capable of such a penetrating understanding? What kind of suchness were you talking about? Good son, the Buddha answered, in that explanation there are three kinds of thinking capable of penetrating understanding. The thinking that is capable of understanding from what has been heard, the thinking that is capable of understanding from what has been thought, and the thinking that is capable of understanding from what has been cultivated. I presented that explanation in light of the suchness of conscious construction. World-honored one, those bodhisattvas have discerned and known both doctrine and meanings, and have been earnest in their cultivation to abandon all images. How many kinds of difficult-to-abandon images do they abandon? And how do they, in fact, abandon them? Good son, there are 10 kinds of such images, and those bodhisattvas are able to abandon them through emptiness. First, because they discern and know both doctrine and meanings, there are various images of writings and words, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of all doctrine. Second, because they discern and know the meaning of the suchness of the given, they have images of arising, passing away, abiding, differentiation, continuity, and development, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on first the emptiness of images, and then the emptiness of beginnings and endings. Third, because they discern and know the meaning of the subject, they have lustful images of bodies and of self-pride, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of interior states and the emptiness of non-attainment. Fourth, because they discern and know the meaning of object, they have images of desired possessions, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of externals. Fifth, because they discern and know the meaning of enjoyment, they have internally established images of the flirtations and endowments of men and women, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of the internal and the external, and on original emptiness. Sixth, because they discern and know the meaning of environment, they have unlimited images, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the greatness of emptiness. Seventh, because they discern and know the immaterial, they have images of internal quiescence and liberation, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of the conditioned. Eighth, because they discern and know the meaning of the true suchness of images, they have images of the no-self of persons and things, which, whether images of only conscious construction or of ultimate meaning, they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of the ultimate, the emptiness of no essence, the emptiness of the essence of no essence, and the emptiness of ultimate meaning. Ninth, because they discern and know the meaning of the suchness of purification, they have images of the unconditioned and of the unchanging, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of the unconditioned and the emptiness of the unchanging. 10th, because they attentively reflect upon the nature of emptiness, whereby they discipline what has to be disciplined, they have images of the nature of emptiness, which they are able to abandon through cultivating meditation on the emptiness of emptiness. World-honored one, once they have abandoned these 10 kinds of images, what other images do they abandon, and from what images are they liberated? Good son, they abandon the images wrought in concentration. They are liberated from and abandon the binding images of defilement. Good son, you should understand that, strictly speaking, each of these emptinesses counteracts its respective images, But yet it is not true that each one does not counteract all the images. It is similar to the case of ignorance, for it is not true that it is unable to engender all the defiled things, even up to old age and dying. However, strictly speaking, ignorance is said to engender only karmic formations, because all the karmic formations are immediately caused by ignorance. The same principle also applies to the emptinesses. At that time, the Bodhisattva Maitreya addressed the Buddha and said, "World-honored one, what is the overall image of that emptiness which the Bodhisattvas discern without discarding and yet without engendering pride in regard to that image of emptiness?" Then the world-honored one praised the Bodhisattva Maitreya and said, "Excellent, excellent, good son. You have been able to question the Tathagata on this profound meaning in order to lead all the Bodhisattvas not to discard the image of the nature of emptiness. Why is this so, good son? It is because if the Bodhisattvas were to discard the image of the nature of emptiness, then they would discard the great vehicle altogether. Therefore, attend well, for I will explain the overall image of emptiness for you. Good son, in the great vehicle, the overall image of emptiness refers to the final separation of those images clung to by imagination, with all their varieties of defilement and purity, from the pattern of other dependency and the pattern of full perfection. That is, the complete non-attainment of such imagined things in those patterns of consciousness." The Bodhisattva Maitreya addressed the Buddha and said, "World-honored one, how many concentrations are included within this quietude and vision?" The Buddha addressed the Bodhisattva Maitreya and said, "Good son, as I have explained, the unlimited word-hearers, bodhisattvas, and tathagatas have unlimited varieties of concentration, all of which are included within quietude and vision." "World-honored one, what is the cause of this quietude and vision?" "Good son, it is purified discipline and true insight accomplished through purified hearing and reflection." "World-honored one, what are the results of this quietude and vision?" "Good son, their results are well-purified discipline, well-purified thought, and well-purified understanding. Moreover, good son, all the good qualities, both worldly and transcendent, of all word-hearers, tathagatas, etc., are included as results of this quietude and vision." "World-honored one, what activity is performed through this quietude and vision?" "Good son, their activity is the liberation from the two bonds, the bonds of images and the bonds of gross weakness." "World-honored one, among the 5 kinds of entanglements you have explained, which are obstacles to quietude, which to vision, and which to both together?" "Good son, lust for bodies and possessions is the obstacle to quietude. Lack of interest in the holy doctrines is the obstacle to knowledge. The various ways of abiding in the welter of pleasurable images and being fully content with shallowness are the obstacles to both together. Because of the first entanglement, one is unable to perform meditation. Because of the second, the effort cultivated never reaches accomplishment." "World-honored one, among the 5 obfuscations, which impede quietude, which vision, and which both together?" "Good son, flightiness and evil-doing are obstacles to quietude. Melancholy, laziness, and doubt are obstacles to vision. Covetousness and annoyance are obstacles to both together." "World-honored one, how does one determine the degree to which the path of quietude has been perfected and purified?" "Good son, to the degree that melancholy and laziness have been eradicated, to that degree one says that the path of quietude has been perfected and purified." "World-honored one, how does one determine the degree to which the path of vision has been perfected and purified?" "Good son, To the degree that flightiness and evil actions have been eradicated, to that degree one says that the path of vision has been perfected and purified. World-honored one, in realizing quietude and vision, of how many distractions must bodhisattvas be aware? Good son, they must be aware of 5. Distraction in regard to their attention, distraction in regard to externals, distraction in regard to internals, distraction in regard to images, and distraction of gross weakness. Good son, if bodhisattvas reject attending to the great vehicle and fall into the attending of word-hearers and solitary enlightened ones, that is distraction in regard to their attending. If they allow their minds to be scattered among the passionate inclinations perceived upon all confusing images of the 5 external sense attractions, that is distraction in regard to externals. If they become immersed in melancholy, attached to the taste of trance through laziness, or defiled by the accompanying passion for any other trance state, that is the distraction in regard to internals. If, in attending to and thinking upon the images wrought by means of interior concentration, they rely upon images of external things, that is the distraction in regard to images. If internally they attend to sensations that arise conditionally, and yet, because of their gross weakness, imagine a self and engender pride, that is the distraction of gross weakness. World-honored one, what are the obstacles that this quietude and vision are capable of counteracting, from the initial bodhisattva stage to the Tathagata stage? Good son, in the first stage, they counteract the obstacles of the passions that lead to evil destinations, and of the defilement of action and birth. In the second stage, they counteract the obstacle of the appearance of subtle sins. In the third stage, they counteract the obstacle of the desires. In the fourth stage, they counteract the obstacle of attachment to concentration and to doctrine. In the fifth stage, they counteract the obstacle of rejecting transmigration altogether and going directly to cessation. In the sixth stage, they counteract the obstacle of the frequent appearing of images. In the seventh stage, they counteract the obstacle of the appearing of subtle images. In the eighth stage, they counteract the obstacles of expending effort in regard to the imageless, and of not attaining mastery in regard to images. In the ninth stage, they counteract the obstacle of not having attained mastery of all the varieties of skillful speech. In the 10th stage, they counteract the obstacle of not having attained the realization of the fully perfected Dharma body. Good son, in the Tathagata stage, this quietude and vision counteract both the obstacle of the most subtle passion and the obstacle to the knowable. Because they are thus able to completely eradicate these obstacles, they finally realize universal wisdom and insight, unattached and unhindered, and, supported by the accomplishment of their objective, they are installed in the ultimately pure Dharma body.